Well, I said for years a worship leader should worship and not lead. And then I was talking to Jack Hayford one day, and he said, "Well, I take an issue with that, Don. You know exactly where you're going when you're up there." And he said a good worship leader won't just close their eyes and be oblivious to where the audience is. Sometimes there are grandmas that don't like to stand for, for 45 minutes. And, it helps to look around at your audience and see, just sit down and relax. And I think a worship leader has to be a good communicator. And yes, it's important to worship, that you can't lead people where you haven't been. But still, it always helps to be a good communicator. This event here is it's a new Hosanna music project, which I'm the worship leader on, and about every couple of years they let me be the worship leader on one of these. And I think the easy thing to do would have been get 5,000 or 10,000 people in a coliseum somewhere, or go to the Chrysler Hall where we recorded before, and get a few thousand people together and do a big production. But I think about 90% of people go to churches of 100 people or less. And sometimes I think they must look at our videos and kind of say, that looks great, but I can't relate to that in my church. So we've got a huge crowd of 100 here, and they're just worshipers from around the area, and that's what it is. It's set up like a living room, and I want to have worship be approachable to people. I think, when I'm up on a stage, or there's this big stage, I love productions, don't get me wrong, I love it. But when there's this stage and lights and the whole deal, sometimes the congregation looks at it and say, well, that's fine, but how is it really relating to me? And we've had some wonderful large services, so I'm not opposed to that, but I think there is a time also for much more vulnerable, intimate setting like this. I mean, this is, I've never done anything like this before. I have led worship meetings in people's living rooms before, and I don't do the same type of songs there that I would do on a stage with 5,000 people, because there's not that energy involved. So this is going to be a new step for me too, because at the end of a song, I don't know how people will react, because they're sitting in couches and chairs, but yet my prayer is that this will really be accessible to just mainstream denominational people. Just people out there going to churches of 100 or less can maybe look at this and say, you know what, I think that's believable what they're doing, and I'm going to enter in and worship too. So that's my prayer. I think if I have a passion, it is to establish reality in worship, and I want it to be real, whatever we do to be real. And I get tired of hype. I don't want to hype people into doing anything. I want to do a good job. I want to do music with excellence. But tonight I'm looking for just a very real, genuine, sincere response from the people. And it may not be shouting and clapping and celebrating. It may be more contemplative, and that's fine. But it's real and sincere. So that's kind of what we're going for in this. It's a new step for me.